Welcome to the Weekend's Overrated. It's your host, Don Dollar. Thanks for everybody who has checked out any of our videos, our shorts, YouTube, Instagram, etc. Please make sure you guys like the page, subscribe. Again, it is our goal to grow the channel. So, today isn't a What Did We Learn day. Today is just more so, we just popping it. It's Friday. We normally kick things off earlier in the week, but it was one of those weeks. We are currently fasting on a 21-day liquid fast, so energy is at a scarcity. But I just wanted to kick it today about my upcoming debut as an author. My book is called 4KEEPS. It's first book, a long time coming. The book is pretty much given a little bit of a deep dive, more so behind the scenes and all of the different intricacies of how I built my business with real estate, consulting, investment group, and trucking, stocks, the whole nine. Different, careers that I worked and how I kind of navigated, through those time frames of things that were going on personally and business wise, to, come out on top. And I just felt that it was important because, when I kind of look back at that time, we'll be in 26 now. So this is from 2019 to 2024. Yeah, that's the timeline of the book. So yeah, I wanted to, I felt that it was important just because I seen the shift in, a lot of things that are going on business-wise in the world, even personally. And I felt like that was a important story to, kind of get out there. This isn't, when I had a few conversations with a few people I know, they initially thought that this was one of those, how to get rich quick. Nah, I'm not really into those type of things. I think the journey is more important than the destination. I think the destination is just a byproduct of the work that you put in. So yeah, for me, this is something that, I was supposed to drop in 25, but I think I initially I wasn't, I didn't put the detailed emphasis on it, so I kind of went back, actually had a few different drafts I had to scrap because I felt like I wanted to stay, focused in on the different topics that I was speaking on. But lo and behold, I've been wanting to be an author for a very, very long time, spanning 10 years actually. It's just I would get really far in regards to any book that I was working on, and then sometimes I get writer's block, sometimes I get discouraged, sometimes life happens and I just say, you know what, never mind. But I think it was important for this one because, like I said, building Don Preem, being able to do the things that I did in pretty much a 3-year window, I feel like a Instagram clip, or a reel or a post, that's cool, but having those words, that paint those pictures, and even, detailing things that you didn't know, because content wise, majority of what you're going to see is going to be all the positives. You don't really see the negatives, right? And I think for me, I like to, keep it balanced, especially with For Keeps. So I felt the name For Keeps, it was just, appropriate for the type of approach that I take with everything in life, especially, things that are important to me, and just my upbringing and how, is fight or flight, is eat or be eaten. You gotta, I have this thing where I like to approach things like it's 4th and 1 or 4th and inches on the goal line. If you've ever played football, specifically defensive line, and you've been in a scenario where it's 4th and inches on the goal line, you know, and you've been successful, you know what that pretty much entails. So I think for me, like I said, I think it's just important, just to get that out there, because, you know, I was motivated by, you know, things that I've seen, I would say, during college and shortly after, that led to a lot of the things that, you know, I'm doing and I have done and I'm going to do, in my life now. So, you know, it's always good to put that information and energy back out into the atmosphere so, you know, people can, you know, take the things that you've done and create their own versions of success and own versions of progression and winning, as it, you know, however that looks for them. So yeah, right now, we got the book slated to come out on April 4th. It's all independent, by the way. We're gonna grow as things progress, but I'm looking for the book to be available on Amazon. I'm gonna have physical copies, so, you know, if I see you, or, you know, if you want to purchase, I'll, you know, I'm around wherever. Shipping, the post office is 2 minutes from me. So however we gotta, you know, knock it out, as well as audio. I definitely am working on getting the audio version of the book developed as well, because I feel like with audio, it got to come from the words of the person who's writing it, you know what I mean? So you can really get the emphasis on certain, you know, things that took place. But yeah, I think it's important, you know, like I said, to get that information out there, because, you know, I'm not an individual that, you know, I'm not too cool for anything. I'm not, you know, too cool to share my story. I'm not too cool to share my wins. I'm not too cool to share my losses. And, you know, there may be individuals who are too cool. I'm just not one of them. I feel like, you know, just letting people know however I was able to navigate, you know, a difficult situation, aka the pandemic, and all the things that were going on in that time, to still have that, you know, focus, on, you know, achieving what the goal was, which was to buy real estate, you know, do consulting, learn the stock market, um, you know, help build businesses, and even transition into trucking. So, like I said, for keeps, I've been posting it forever. I'm going to keep on posting it. You're going to get sick of me, because I'm going to post it over and over and over and over and over. But hopefully, you know, you'll pick up a copy. And, you know, my goal is for this to be the start of many series and books that I publish. I have a lot of ideas, you know, fictional, non-fictional, a lot of, you know, things that I want to do, that I feel like, you know, it's a great time to really sink in and you know, just kind of test my hand in that. I'm testing my hand in content space, or, you know, so you never want to limit yourself. You always kind of want to, you know, stay ready, so you never got to get ready. But that's all we got for today, people. And don't forget, the weekend is overrated. I know it's Friday, but, you know, did you earn the weekend? That's what you got to ask yourself. But that's all we got for today, and we'll be back regular early top of the week next week. You guys have a good weekend. Peace.